This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So, Matt, I recently read a stat, and it claims that only 5% of mortgage holders are under 30 years old.
That's not hard for me to believe.
I thought it would be, honestly thought it would be higher.
Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. One is just the affordability factor, right? Can folks under the age of 30 afford a home these days?
Not until the government pays off their student loans. When I hear student loans, this might irritate some people, but when I hear student loans, I hear beer money. Like until the government pays off your beer money.
Why do you define it that way?
Because I know a lot of people who got student loans and didn't spend it on school. They spent it on life. They spent it on cars.
Well, that
they
says
spent it
a
on
lot
other
about
stuff.
who you're hanging out with.
But that's or they spent it on tuition. I was just talking with somebody there, whatever. I don't want to say what it is, but they knew somebody who spent $250,000 on their education. That person now lives in her little town and is making $49,000 a year.
Right.
Like that's a bad financial.
What did she major in?
She's a teacher.
She spent $250,000 for a teaching credential?
Not a credential, but she went to a university, finished it in 4 years. Yeah.
What? See, that's outrageous. See, that's one of the problems is college education is way overpriced. How is that possible that she spent did she go for like 12 years or something like that?
4 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. See, that is a problem for sure. So yeah, they have all this debt. They're under 30. They have all this college debt, whether or not that was a wise choice or not. And so buying a home these days with the way the interest rates are and inflation and now home insurance policies have doubled, if not tripled, in the past few years,
especially in California. And
so it's much tougher for folks under the age of 30 to afford a home.
It really is. Like I don't have the numbers pulled up in front of me, but if in the 80s, if the home was costing you $60,000 and people were making $30,000 a year, okay, well let's change that. Let's say the house costs $700,000 or $600,000. That means that household, for the ratios to be similar, that would be $300,000. I don't know a whole lot of households bringing in $300,000.
No, that's tough. That's one reason, And then the other reason is you don't feel like the American dream to own a home is relevant anymore to folks under the age of 30.
I think there's still a lot of people that aspire to that. We've talked about on those shows that people aspire to it, but what's interesting is I think people who already are homeowners are transitioning away from that, and that, I believe, will have a trickle-down effect on people who aren't homeowners.
What do you mean by that? Explain that.
So, for example, I've owned 4 homes, right? It is a lot of freaking work. You got to pay a lot. People think, hey, I'll just buy the house as a fixed monthly payment. They don't factor in repairs. They don't factor in things that go wrong on the home. They don't factor in, and who would have factored
rising home insurance,
homeowners insurance costs, right? There are so many people who bought a home. Homeowners insurance was an afterthought. Right. And now, fast forward 10, 15 years, it is the reason why they are selling. They cannot afford that home anymore, not because they lost a job, not because of a life event, but because homeowners insurance has gone up so much that they can't stay there. And so anyways, a lot of that risk, and that has a direct impact on the value of their home. Because if a person's pre-approved for, let's say, $4,000 a month, and your homeowners insurance is now $1,000 a month, right? That has to be factored into that number, their household budget, and so now you just slash the value of the home by that whatever that monthly payment looks like to them, and so it's just I firmly believe that the U.S. is going to be the whole idea of home ownership being the American dream. I need to do a little bit more research on it, but my understanding is that it came from the idea of people wanting to be landowners. So rather than the government owning your land, rather than the English owning the land, people wanted to be landowners. And that land equated freedom because that land provided them with the opportunity to earn an income.
Yeah.
Right?
There's if you've ever seen the movie Far and Away with Tom Hanks, oh my gosh, such a great scene where they're from overseas. They're from Scotland or Ireland, somewhere over there. and they dream of coming to America to stick that stake in the ground and claim it. This is my property.
Yep.
And it's so inspiring because they want it so badly. This is their chance. This is their opportunity. And to be able to have this race and stick that stake in the ground and say, this is mine, this is my property. I mean, I think that was a great dream that America was able to offer. And now, it's such a small fraction of what that originally used to be.
Correct. And so that dream was like freedom. That dream was financial freedom, right? And owning a home isn't necessarily an asset by the strictest definition of the term. It is a liability. It is taking money out of your pocket every year or every month, unless you have like multifamily properties, and then all of a sudden a home becomes, in that situation, an asset because it's putting money into your pocket. But now, so to use your example, that family coming over, escaping whatever they were escaping, wanting a better opportunity so they could provide for their family, home ownership, land ownership meant that opportunity to them. Now, home ownership does not mean that. And so it seems to me that the idea of home ownership shifted from land into home. So the American dream shifted from owning the land, being free, into owning your own home. That was a consumer shift. Yeah. But people are waking up and realizing, hey, it doesn't matter where my home is. It doesn't matter if I own the home or not. What matters is upward mobility. So still in Europe, still in other parts of Asia, there's your caste, your society demographic determines kind of how mobile you are. In the United States, somebody can come here dirt poor and become a billionaire. And that, I believe, is the American dream. And that is defined not by the home you own, but by the skills and the energy and the impact you have on the marketplace and your community. And so as we move forward, people who've already bought homes, have already experienced this upward mobility, are saying, hey, the home really didn't do a whole lot for me. I'm choosing now to rent.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So you think we start turning into a society where we have more renters than people who own homes? Because, I mean, if you're driving down 65 or wherever in Sacramento, a lot of the development I've been noticing is all these apartment complexes.
Yeah,
townhome complexes.
They're doing it in Fresno. They're doing it in Reno. I think I heard about them doing it in the Sacramento area as well. But a lot of these complexes are being built, and they're never even going to be on the market to buy. They're just being built to rent.
Right.
And I believe that is ultimately where the U.S. will head as far as home ownership goes. So if you're looking to invest in real estate, that's a different story. Like you're buying something at a rate that then is paying you a little bit of money every month,
sure,
and you're getting to take place in, like, you're getting to benefit from the appreciation, the upward value over time, the increase in the value over time, and that is a different conversation than being in a home. So I recently met with a guy. I don't know the details of his story, but he's selling his house. I asked him, dude, why are you selling your house? This is a great house. You just moved in not that long ago. He's like, Johnny, I'm house poor. Like, I can afford my mortgage. Everything's good, but I can't do anything else. And so what he's gonna sell his house, downsize, and probably rent for a while. And now he'll have more discretionary income to do whatever it is he wants to do, whether that's investing, whether that's buying a house down in Coachella at the Disney place. Who knows what he's going to do with it? But my point is people are kind of waking up to home ownership being the only path to wealth.
So do you think that's good for our society? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
To move away from home ownership?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Good or bad? The stance I take when it comes to like political things or consumer type things, like, is it benefiting the individual, and then expand it out. Is it benefiting the family? Is it benefiting the community? Is it benefiting the country?
Right.
And if being a renter is benefiting the individual and therefore the family financially, then I don't see why that would be a bad thing.
Okay.
Like, what would be the only way it could be a bad thing is there's a lot of people who,
because you still have a landlord, and that's what a lot of folks were escaping in other countries. I want to come to America so I can be the lord of my own land.
Because they were slaves. They didn't have freedom. They couldn't. Well, and it's still like that in much of Europe.
Yeah.
Like there was no like a person in poverty could not become king. right? You couldn't become a knight, you couldn't become a lord. Like, you were stuck where you were at. And in the United States, whether you rent or whether you own, you still have that upward mobility. There are billionaires who rent their houses.
Sure. Okay. Well, there you go.
So I don't think that's necessarily hurting. Where I think it could hurt is if people are renting and then they're not saving for their future.
Oh, gotcha.
They're not investing for their future. Because there's been a lot of cases where the home has been the de facto piggy bank. Either it was grandma and now she has an inheritance for her kids, or whether it was the parents and now they're able to sell that house and put the parent into a care facility. And had they not had the house, they would not have had the funds to do that.
Right.
So some places it's the de facto piggy bank. Some places it's the credit card, and they just keep pulling out home equity lines of credit, and there is no equity there. And so it depends on how you treat your financial life, and I don't think that depends on whether or not you live in the home or whether you own it or whether you rent it.
Interesting perspective. Well, the weather's getting better. Thinking about putting your home on the market, but you don't want to do all those costly needed home repairs. You don't want to do all the organization, the open houses, the showings, the staging. Well, check this out. Johnny Jennings and his incredible team at Made for More Realty, they can get you at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. Don't believe him? He's done it many times with many listeners here in the greater Sacramento area. Again, 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. No need to get your home ready. Just bam, he'll show up and make sure that you are satisfied and happy with your arrangement. Again, 3 cash offers. Just reach out to Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. There's a reason why they have been voted #1 team in Roseville for the past 3 years, why they have about 1,000 5-star Google reviews, more than anyone else in our area. So get more for your home. Just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty.